I suddenly opened my eyes. The dazzling crystal chandelier above made me dizzy. The clinking of glasses and the murmur of celebration filled my ears. The crisp sound of champagne flutes striking was unusually clear. Is this an engagement celebration? Have I been reborn? I looked down at my long fingers. The engagement ring on my ring finger glittered under the lights. Mr. Ethan, are you all right? The waiter handed me a cup of warm water with concern. It really was an engagement celebration. The Royal Hotel. Rose Valentine's Day. My heart nearly leapt out of my chest. I had truly been reborn, returned to that night 5 years ago that changed everything. Sophia? My voice was hoarser than it should have been. Miss Taylor just took a call and seemed really rushed heading for the lounge. My fingers reflexively tightened around the wine glass. As expected, in my previous life that bastard Dylan had pretended his stomach was bleeding, and one phone call was all it took to pull my fiancée away from the engagement party. I strode toward the lounge, and when I opened the door, I saw Sophia picking up her bag, about to leave. She was wearing the champagne-colored dress I had chosen myself, stunning beyond words. But her face was written all over with anxiety. Ethan, Dylan has acute stomach bleeding. I have to go to the hospital to see him. Sophia didn't even notice the pallor of my face. You handle the guests for now. I'll be back as soon as I can. I closed my eyes. In my past life, I begged her humbly not to leave, to at least finish the engagement celebration. Instead, she hurled abuse at me, saying I couldn't tell what was important and what wasn't, and only knew how to be jealous. In the end, she left the engagement without hesitation. I chose to endure her leaving, even explaining to the guests on her behalf and holding the entire engagement celebration alone. But this time, I'm not going to do that. If you want to visit your male best friend, I'll oblige you. This lifetime, you two, both scumbag man and scumbag woman, are done for good. Sophia. My voice wasn't loud, but made Sophia stop dead in her tracks. Ethan, she frowned. Today is our engagement celebration, with many guests outside. I spoke slowly, word by word. Dylan has parents and doctors. He doesn't need you. Are you sure you absolutely must go? Sophia stared in disbelief, her eyes wide. How can you say that? Dylan is my best friend. He's sick right now, and he needs me. Best friend, I sneered. The terrified cries of my daughter from my past life, as I was dying, still echoed in my ears. For 5 years, you sat up with him when he was ill, comforted him when he had a breakup, and even left our dates for a single phone call from him. Sophia, can you really tell who your fiancé is? Outside the lounge, a number of curious guests had already gathered, their whispers drifting in. Sophia's face flushed bright red. Ethan, you're being completely unreasonable. Dylan is just my friend. Don't be so paranoid, okay? Enough. I raised my hand to cut her off. If you go, it's over between us. Ethan, which is more important, a life or an engagement celebration? Don't be so petty. If you're not satisfied, we can hold a better engagement party for you later, but wait for me to come back and we'll talk. Sophia said, frowning slightly. Then, without hesitation, she walked away. Watching her hurry into the car, my expression turned cold. If this was your choice, then don't regret it. I turned and walked to the center stage of the banquet hall. Amid the surprised gazes of the crowd, I picked up the microphone and tapped it. The piercing squeal from the mic drew everyone's attention. Dear friends and family, thank you for coming to attend the engagement celebration between Miss Taylor and me, but I regret to inform you that today's engagement ceremony is canceled. The hall erupted. Sophia's parents stood frozen in place, their faces ashen. The reason is simple, I said, my gaze sweeping over every shocked face. My fiancée thinks her male best friend is more important than I am. If that's the case, I choose to withdraw from this triangle. I bless Miss Taylor and Mr. Parker. Please be witnesses. I, Ethan Johnson, and Sophia are calling off the engagement and will have nothing to do with each other from now on. Thank you. Ethan, you ungrateful wretch. Are you out of your mind? Richard lunged forward and shouted, Tell everyone you're drunk, that it's a joke, or else. I'm perfectly sober, Mr. Taylor. This is the clearest decision I've ever made in my life. I cut him off, calmly took off the engagement ring, and placed it on the table. Please return this to Sophia." With that, I walked out of the banquet hall without looking back, as Richard and Emily's angry shouts and the guests' chaotic murmurs followed me. The night wind brushed my face. I took a deep breath. This time, I will never make the same mistake again. The Johnson estate was brightly lit. I stood at the study door and knocked 3 times. From inside came my father's deep voice. "Come in." George sat behind the large rosewood desk, reviewing documents without even looking up. "I've heard about your situation. So, you're really done with Sophia now? Really not getting married?" "Yes, father. The engagement has been called off," I said calmly. "You were right before. Sophia really wasn't right for me. I regret now that I didn't listen to your advice." Father looked up, his sharp gaze studying me. "I thought you'd do what you did last time and break with the whole family for that woman." I fell silent. In my past life, I was stubborn and, for Sophia, gave up my claim to the family inheritance. I even failed to make it back in time to see my father one last time when he had a heart attack. "Father, I was really wrong." My voice was hoarse. "Over the years, I have disappointed your expectations. I know my mistake now and want to come back to accomplish something." Father was silent for a long time, then suddenly took a document from the drawer and pushed it over. "Take a look." It was a business plan, the cover emblazoned with the words "Foreign Core Technology AI Medical System Development Proposal." My pupils contracted. This was exactly the project I had researched in my previous life. I gave it up for Sophia. "How did you come by this?" "Your university advisor came to see me last week." My father's tone softened. "He said it was a shame you gave up that project. He hopes I can persuade you to continue, and he even asked me to invest in you." My eyes warmed. That project required developing in Changnan City, and in my previous life to please Sophia and stay by her side, had given up my major and dreams to take an idle position at Taylor Group. In this life, "Father, I want to restart that project now." I said firmly. "I want to go to Changnan City and set up a company specifically to develop it." My father raised an eyebrow. "Have you thought this through?" "I've thought it through," I said. "I'm going to leverage Changnan City's medical resources and policy support to incubate this project." "All right, if that's really what you want, then that's wonderful. I will fully support you," Father said. "So I'll invest $100 million to get you started. Go focus on developing it, and let me know if anything comes up. But I have one condition. If you fail, you come back and work for me like a good boy." I looked at my father and nodded heavily. The study door suddenly swung open, and Margaret rushed in with red eyes and threw her arms around me. "You're back, you're back." I hugged my mother tightly. "Mother, I'm sorry." My voice choked. 7 days later, Gaoping Airport, Changnan City. I had just stepped out of the terminal when I saw a tall, thin young man holding a Dawn Tech sign. That was Leo Martinez, the tech genius I had overlooked in my previous life. I had repeatedly suggested to Sophia that she make more use of him, but she didn't take it seriously. Later, she even gave the position that should have gone to Leo to Dylan, and then Dylan, citing cost savings, suggested Sophia fire him. As a result, 3 years later, Leo, having jumped to another company, used leading AI technology to help his company surge ahead in the industry. In this life, when I was preparing to start a project, I reached out to him in advance. He happened to be unhappy because Dylan had been sidelining him, so he agreed to my request. I arranged for him to come and inspect ahead of time. "Mr. Ethan, over here." Leo waved excitedly, and I smiled as I walked over. After getting in the car, Leo couldn't wait to open a foreign software program. "Mr. Ethan, according to the requirements in your email, I've already set up a preliminary algorithm framework. But there's one question I need to ask." We were animatedly discussing technical details all the way until the car stopped in front of a modern office building. "This is our temporary office." I led Leo into the bright, spacious area. "For now, the team is just the 2 of us. 3 engineers will join next week." Leo suddenly grew a little awkward. "Mr. Ethan, actually my sister is also very interested in medical AI. She's a master's student in the computer science department at Southland Institute of Technology. Could she possibly—" "Your sister?" I was taken aback. In my previous life, I had never noticed that Leo had a sister. Her name is Luna. Although she's still in graduate school, she has already published 3 top conference papers, Leo said proudly. If you don't mind, she can come for an interview tomorrow. I nodded thoughtfully. All right, 10 tomorrow morning. The next day at 9:50, I was adjusting the equipment when the office door was gently knocked. Come in. The door opened and a girl with a high ponytail walked in. She wore a simple white shirt and jeans. Her eyes were bright, full of vigorous energy. Good afternoon, Mr. Ethan. I'm Luna. Her voice was clear and pleasant. I'm 10 minutes early. Should I wait outside? I looked up and met her smiling eyes. No need, come sit. In that moment, I inexplicably felt that this girl, who hadn't appeared in my past life, might be fate giving me a second chance. Sophia slammed her phone down on the sofa, and from it you could faintly hear the automated message. The number you have dialed is currently on another call. Blocked me? Ethan actually dared to block me. She stared at her phone in disbelief, as if it had committed an unforgivable crime. Dylan came out of the kitchen carrying 2 glasses of red wine, his face wearing his signature gentle smile. Sophia, don't worry about that 2-timer. Here, try the wine I brought back from Bordeaux. This Ethan, he even said I can't tell who's a fiancé and who's not. Don't you think he's way too petty? Sophia took the glass, gripping it tightly. You're my best male friend. If you're sick, can I go see you? He's paranoid day after day. Do I have to revolve around love all the time? After I left, he even canceled the engagement in front of everyone at the betrothal party to humiliate me. And now he dares to block me? Dylan listened to her talk about a close female friend, and a flash of coldness passed through his eyes. He sat down beside her and gently patted her back. Sophia, calm down. He's not worth it. He doesn't understand the pure friendship between us. But I think Ethan is just sulking, trying to make you anxious. Once he cools off, he'll come back to you. Sophia took a long gulp of red wine. The liquid rocked violently in the glass, mirroring her churning emotions. A month had passed, and Ethan hadn't bowed his head and apologized like before. Instead, he had completely vanished from her life. He really underestimates me, Sophia. I won't forgive him easily this time. Not unless he apologizes every day for a week and apologizes to you too. Otherwise, don't expect me to forgive him. Enough. Let's not talk about him. She forced herself to change the subject. Is your stomach any better? What do the doctors say? Dylan's expression froze for a moment. Then he smiled and said, It's an old problem. The doctor said just watch my diet. He quickly changed the subject. By the way, your birthday is next week. I'm planning to celebrate at the International 3-star luxury restaurant and even reserved the best table for you. Dylan, how thoughtful of you. Unlike Ethan, who only knows how to make me angry. Sophia forced a smile, but felt an inexplicable emptiness inside. In previous years, Ethan would start preparing a month in advance. Gifts, surprises, trips abroad. Every detail meticulously planned. This year, her gaze involuntarily drifted to the entryway, where it used to be piled with souvenirs Ethan brought back from his business trips, now completely empty. 1 year later, Changnan City, Stellar Tech Conference Room. The blood pressure prediction model's accuracy has increased to 92.3%. Leo excitedly pointed at the data on the projection screen. Luna improved the neural network architecture. The results are even better than we expected. I watched the curve pulsing on the screen, a smile creeping onto my lips. After a year, our foreign core technology AI medical diagnostic system had finally made a breakthrough. What about the clinical trial data? I turned to Luna at the other end of the conference table. The girl had her hair tied in a neat bun today and wore blue light blocking glasses on the bridge of her nose. Hearing the question, she quickly brought up a set of data. The feedback from the 3 partner hospitals has been very positive, especially for early heart failure prediction. The accuracy is 37% higher than traditional methods. Her voice was clear and strong, and she radiated confidence. I couldn't help but recall the scene from a year ago when I first interviewed her. The college student in a simple shirt and jeans had now become an indispensable core member of the team. Mr. Ethan, The representative from Healthwell Medical has arrived. The assistant knocked and reminded me. I stood up. That's it for today. Leo, prepare the presentation materials. We're flying to Jing City tomorrow to attend the Medical Technology Summit. After the meeting broke up, Luna stayed where she was and didn't move. Is there something else? I asked while I packed up the documents. She hesitated, took a USB drive from her bag. This is a submodule I worked on in my spare time, aimed at early screening for Alzheimer's. It may not be mature yet, but I wanted you to take a look. Oh, really? You always manage to surprise me, I said happily as I took the USB drive, my fingertip unintentionally brushing hers. Luna pulled her hand back as if burned, the tips of her ears faintly reddening. I'll look at it carefully, I said gently. I believe in your ability. Luna lowered her head and smiled, her eyelashes casting tiny shadows on her cheek. Because I don't want to disappoint you. What did you say? I turned and asked. Nothing. Luna turned and ran away. In the Taylor Group's CEO office, Sophia stared at the headlines on her computer screen, her fingers trembling unconsciously. Stellar Tech completes Series C. Valuation tops $5 billion. New star in AI healthcare. Ethan Johnson and his stellar miracle. New face on under 30 rich list. Stellar Tech CEO Ethan Johnson. Each article was accompanied by a photo of Ethan. A well-tailored suit, steady, confident eyes. A world apart from the man who had waited on her a year ago. This can't be, she murmured. Where did he get the money? Where did he get the connections? The office door was pushed open, and Richard walked in with a sullen face. Seen the news? That poor boy you were determined to marry back then is now the hottest new star in the investment world. Sophia bit her lower lip. Father, what's even more ridiculous? Richard threw a document onto the desk. I just found out he's the heir to Johnson Group. George's only son. What? Sophia sprang to her feet, the chair screeching across the floor. Johnson Group? That international real estate giant Johnson Group. You don't even know that? Richard sneered. He gave up his family inheritance for you, and you treated him like a servant for Dylan. Now, look, he went back to inherit the family business, launched his own company successfully, and we at Taylor Group. It didn't finish, but Sophia understood. Taylor Group has been sinking these past 2 years, and the cash flow is already precarious. I can contact him, she said suddenly. Isn't Stellar Tech in medical AI? Taylor Group already has hospital channels. We could definitely collaborate. Richard looked at her with something close to pity. You think he hasn't blocked your whole family? The marketing department tried 3 times already. They couldn't even get past his assistant. Sophia's face went pale in an instant. She grabbed her phone and, unwilling to give up, tried the number she hadn't dialed in a long time. The cold dial tone remained. The Jing City International Conference Center was packed with people at the Medical Technology Summit. I had just finished my keynote and was immediately surrounded by investors and reporters. Luna stood not far away, watching me handle all the technical questions with ease. Her gaze unconsciously softened. Where's your brother? I asked as I finally freed myself and walked over to her. Luna came back to herself. He's been cornered by representatives from several hospitals. They're very interested in our AI-assisted diagnostic system. I nodded. Go help him. I'll handle things over here. Mr. Ethan, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind. I turned, my pupils shrinking slightly. Olivia, marketing director of Taylor Group, Sophia's cousin. Long time no see, Olivia said with a beaming smile, reaching out her hand. That speech just now was wonderful. I shook her hand out of politeness, my smile unchanged but my eyes cooling. Miss Taylor, what brings you here? It's like this. Olivia lowered her voice. Taylor Group wants to discuss a partnership with Stellar Tech. We have channels in over 30 private hospitals nationwide. Sorry, I interrupted her. Stellar Tech currently has no plans for cooperation. Olivia wouldn't give up. Sophia is also very much looking forward to this collaboration. She specifically asked me to... Miss Taylor, my voice remained calm, but carried an unmistakable decisiveness. If this is a personal matter, Miss Taylor and I have long had no ties, If it's a business proposition, please contact our marketing department through official channels. After saying that, I nodded slightly and turned to walk toward Luna, who was waiting for me. "Are you okay?" Luna asked quietly. She noticed something off about my mood. "I'm fine." I took the documents from her hand. "Let's go. There are 2 more meetings this afternoon." We walked side by side to the elevator. Luna glanced at me several times, seeming about to say something but holding back. She didn't know who that woman had been, but she could tell something was wrong with me. My attitude toward the past was like the attitude toward a healed wound. It didn't hurt anymore, but the scar remained. Half a bottle of red wine had already been drained on the balcony of Sophia's apartment. This bastard. He's doing this to humiliate me on purpose. She shouted into the phone at Olivia. "What do you mean go through the proper channels?" He's obviously retaliating because Dylan and I are close. There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Sophia, have you considered that maybe we went too far?" "Too far?" Sophia's voice shot up. He called off the engagement in front of all the city's elites, and now he refuses to cooperate. Who's being unreasonable? I said Dylan is just my close friend, yet he keeps acting paranoid and making a scene with me. Who's being unreasonable? If he had half of Dylan's ability, would I treat him like this? Then think about it. What has Dylan done for you all these years? Olivia asked suddenly. And Ethan before that. Don't mention Ethan to me. I don't want to deal with him right now. Sophia snapped and slammed the phone down, tossing it onto the sofa. The doorbell rang. She stumbled to answer it, and Dylan stood on the doorstep holding a bouquet of roses. "Happy birthday, my dear." He smiled as he handed over the flowers. "I booked your favorite Japanese place." Sophia looked at the cheap bouquet. The wrapping was rough, and a few of the flowers were already wilted. She suddenly remembered last year's birthday, when Ethan had somehow procured blue roses flown in from the Netherlands, just because she had casually mentioned she liked that kind of flower. She thought of the engagement celebration day, and how Ethan had said Dylan was faking being sick. "Dylan," she asked abruptly, "that day at the engagement celebration, were you really sick?" Dylan's smile froze. "Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Answer me." "Of course it's true." His voice suddenly rose. "If you don't believe me, you can check the hospital records." Sophia stared into his eyes and for the first time noticed the unnatural quiver in his pupils. A terrible thought suddenly hit her. If all of this were fake, then all these years. Her phone vibrated unexpectedly. It was a message from her father. "Return to the company immediately." The bank refused to extend the loan. Sophia's legs went weak, and she leaned against the doorframe. Through her blurred, tear-filled eyes, she saw Dylan impatiently checking his watch. The cheap bouquet of roses he had casually placed on the shoe cabinet was already losing petals. Reporters and creditors crowded in front of the Taylor Group headquarters, their noisy waves of sound filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows into the top-floor office. Sophia stood by the window, fingers clutching the curtains so tightly her knuckles had gone white. "Miss Taylor, the bank representatives are here." The secretary cautioned carefully from the doorway. Sophia drew a deep breath. As she turned, she lifted her chin slightly, preserving the last shred of dignity. "Let them in." 5 men in suits walked into the office. The leader handed over a document. "Miss Taylor, we regret to inform you that due to Taylor Group's 6 consecutive quarters of losses and inability to repay maturing debt, the bank has decided to seize this building as collateral." The number on the document stung Sophia's eyes. $370 million. The figure that had once been her pride had now become the final straw that broke Taylor Group. "Please give us a week." Her voice was so dry it didn't sound like her. "I'm negotiating a round of financing." "I'm afraid that's not possible." The bank representative interrupted her with an impassive face. "The deadline is 5 o'clock this afternoon." The office door opened again and Richard walked in, exhaustion written all over his face, a stack of papers in his hand. "Sophia, sign it." Mr. Parker just pulled his funding. "We have no choice." "Dylan." Sophia jumped up sharply. "He promised he would help us get through this." Richard gave a bitter smile and handed her the phone. On the screen was a message just received. Mr. Taylor, in view of the current situation of Taylor Group, my father has decided to withdraw all investments. My personal suggestion is to file for bankruptcy as soon as possible for everyone's sake. Dylan. Sophia's phone slipped from her palm, hitting the marble floor. The sound of the screen shattering was particularly jarring. On Stellar Tech's listing day, I stood on the Exchange Bell podium beside the core team, Leo Martinez, Luna, and several other early members. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The bell rang, and a staggering number flashed after Stellar Tech's stock code on the big screen. Opening price $68, up 40% from the issue price, with market value instantly surpassing $10 billion. Applause thundered, and cameras kept flashing. I turned to Luna beside me. She was wearing a tasteful navy suit today, her hair pinned precisely, yet it couldn't hide the excitement in her eyes. "We did it," I whispered. Luna's eyes curved into crescents. "It was you who led us to achieve this." "No, we did it together." I looked at her, and we exchanged a smile. A reporter in the audience asked loudly, "Mr. Ethan, what are Stellar Tech's new plans after going public?" "There are rumors you're developing an early screening system for Alzheimer's. Is that true?" I looked toward Luna and gave a slight nod to signal her to answer. That subtle gesture did not escape the reporter's attention. "Yes." Luna took the microphone, her voice clear and professional. "Our new system is based on a proprietary neural network algorithm that can analyze voice and micro-expressions to predict disease risk 5 to 8 years in advance, with an accuracy of 89%. It has now entered the clinical trial stage." She smoothly introduced the technical details. I watched her confident profile, an involuntary smile forming at the corner of my mouth. Who would have thought that the girl who trembled through that interview 2 years ago would now face the national media with such ease? After the bell-ringing ceremony, the team posed for a photo in front of the exchange. Luna stood beside me. At the instant the photographer pressed the shutter, she subtly leaned toward me, our shoulders brushing lightly. "Don't forget the celebration dinner tonight," I reminded her softly. Luna blinked. I have a good memory, especially when it comes to food. In the pouring rain, Sophia stood under Dylan's apartment building, soaked through. She had been pressing the doorbell for a long time until the security guard couldn't stand it and told her, "Mr. Parker's family moved out last week. I heard they went abroad for vacation." She trembled as she took out her phone and dialed that familiar number. This time, the call actually went through. "Dylan, where are you? Taylor Group has gone bankrupt. My father had a heart attack and is in the hospital. I need..." "Sophia..." Dylan's voice interrupted her lazily. "At this point, stop putting on that tragic act, will you?" Sophia froze in place, rain running down her cheeks, unable to tell if it was rain or tears. What do you mean?" A contemptuous laugh came from the other end of the line. "You think I actually like a spoiled rich girl temper like yours? If it weren't for Taylor Group's resources, who would put up with listening to you complain about that Ethan every day?" "What did you say?" Sophia screamed, drawing the attention of passers-by. "Over the past 5 years, you clearly..." "Clearly what?" Dylan sneered. "Accompany you shopping? Listen to you complain? Those are performances I charge by the minute for." "Oh, do you know why your father didn't get that piece of land last time? I was the one who leaked the reserve price to the competitor." Sophia's legs went weak, and she collapsed to her knees in the rain. Her phone fell into a puddle. Dylan's vicious words kept spilling out. "Now Taylor Group is finished. You should wake up. You brought this on yourself, understand?" The rain blurred her vision. Sophia vaguely saw a black Maybach stop at the roadside. The door opened. A pair of polished leather shoes step into the puddle. It was Ethan. She wanted to call his name, but saw him hold an umbrella and carefully shelter Luna as she got out on the other side. The two chatted and laughed as they walked into an upscale restaurant by the road. Luna slipped, and Ethan quickly wrapped his arm around her waist. That gentle, protective manner had once belonged to her alone. Memories surged like a tide. In her previous life, she had a high fever, and Ethan drove across provinces overnight to buy her favorite foreign-style rich soup. She casually mentioned liking a limited bag from an international luxury brand, and 3 months later on her birthday he with dark circles under his eyes, handed her the bag. Later she learned he had worked overtime for 2 months straight to save up the money. Sophia let out a heart-wrenching scream, kneeling in the rain and pounding the ground. But no one stopped. Even the person she had once trusted most was now sitting in a warm restaurant, pouring red wine for another woman. Congratulations to Stellar Tech on its successful IPO. Leo raised a champagne glass, and the team members in the private dining room stood up one after another. I smiled as I accepted everyone's congratulations, but my gaze kept drifting toward Luna. She had changed into a simple white dress, her bun undone, hair falling smoothly over her shoulders and catching a faint sheen under the lights. After several rounds of drinks, the team members left one after another. As Leo was leaving, he winked at his sister. "Don't be out too late." Only the two of us were left in the private room. Luna's cheeks were slightly flushed, whether from the alcohol or something else I couldn't tell. "Tired?" I asked. Luna shook her head, her eyes sparkling. Too excited to sleep. She hesitated for a moment. "Mr. Ethan, may I ask you something?" "Just call me Ethan in private." I relaxed back in the chair. "Ask. 2 years ago, why did you choose to trust me?" Back then, I was just a graduate student who hadn't graduated. I watched the liquor swirl in the glass, thinking about how to answer. I couldn't tell her about the rebirth. Couldn't say I knew her brother would become a giant in the AI field. Intuition. I finally said, "There was a light in your eyes, like a pure love for technology. That's rare in the industry." Luna's eyes brightened. "And you? Why give up the family business to work on AI healthcare?" "Because," I paused, "I once lost someone important. If there had been better medical technology, maybe the outcome would have been different." The private room fell suddenly silent. Luna gently placed her hand on the back of mine. "The system you're developing will save a lot of people." Her palm was warm and soft. I did not pull my hand away. In that moment, I realized it had been a long time since I had thought of Sophia. "Luna," I asked suddenly, "do you believe in reincarnation?" She tilted her head, thinking cutely. "From the standpoint of quantum physics, the theory of parallel universes exists. However," she smiled slyly, "I believe more in seizing the moment. For example, right now, I want to tell you that you are the most remarkable person I have ever met." I was stunned. Such blunt praise had never occurred in my relationship with Sophia. In my previous life, I gave everything and never received a single sincere word of thanks. "Thank you," I said softly and clasped her fingers with my other hand. At 2 a.m, I dropped Luna off at the bottom of her apartment building. "Wanted to walk you up?" I asked with a smile. Luna shook her head, but didn't get out right away. After a moment of silence, she suddenly turned to face me. "Ethan." A phone rang abruptly. I frowned and glanced at it. An unknown number. "Sorry, I have to take this. Might be something from work." When the call connected, a calm voice came from the hospital. "Is this Mr. Ethan Johnson? This is Central City Hospital. Your friend Ms. Sophia was just brought in. She insisted on seeing you before she lost consciousness." My expression went cold in an instant. "I have nothing to do with her." "But your number is listed as her emergency contact on her phone." "I told you I don't know this person." I hung up decisively and turned to Luna. "What were you about to say just now?" Luna stared at me and shook her head slightly. "Nothing, just good night." I got out of the car to hold an umbrella for her and only left after I saw her safely into the elevator. On the way back, the rain had stopped, but the name from the call kept replaying in my mind. Sophia. In my previous life, it was the same. On our daughter's 5th birthday, she left me and our daughter because of one phone call from Dylan. The last image I saw before that car accident was our daughter's terrified little face. The phone rang again, still the hospital. I turned it off, pulled the car over, and took a deep breath. This time, I would never repeat the same mistake. I looked up at the rearview mirror. My eyes in the reflection were resolute. Sophia finally got a taste of being abandoned, and my new life was only just beginning. The banquet hall of the Coast Grand Hotel was lit by a crystal chandelier, scattering countless points of light over the champagne tower. I stood at the end of the red carpet, watching the banquet hall doors slowly open. Luna, linked with her brother Leo, walked into the melody of 1,000 years. She wore a simple yet elegant mermaid wedding gown. Tiny diamonds dotted her veil, and each step she took seemed to scatter starlight. There were no exaggerated petticoats, no ornate lace, yet she was so beautiful that everyone present held their breath. My throat tightened. In a previous life, I had stood in a similar scene, waiting for my bride. But that day, Sophia chose Dylan's call, and I became the laughingstock of the whole city. "You look especially beautiful today," I said in a low voice when Luna reached me. Her eyes curved into crescents. "So do you?" Then she added mischievously, "But you look good every day." The guests gave warm, amused laughter. Leo solemnly placed his sister's hand in mine, tears shining in his eyes. "Take good care of her." I nodded and tightened my grip on Luna's hand. This same hand had once written code in the lab that changed medical history, and now it trembled slightly in my palm. "Nervous?" I asked softly. Luna nodded honestly. "There are several scientists I admire in the audience. It feels like a dream." The priest began to read the vows, but I could hardly hear him. I stared at the girl before me, the most important person in my life. She was intelligent without being arrogant, strong without being overbearing, and most importantly, she appreciated what I gave. Now, the bride and groom may exchange rings. Luna took a platinum ring from a bridesmaid and gently slipped it onto my ring finger. "I hope our marriage is like the code we write." Her voice was soft but resolute, logically sound, bug-free, and able to run until the last moment of life. My Adam's apple bobbed as memories of my previous life's dying moments surged like a tide. Glaring headlights, my daughter's cries, and endless regret. And now, fate had given me a chance to start over. "It's your turn," Luna whispered. I came to, and took out the ring I'd prepared long ago. It was a unique couple ring whose face could open, hiding a tiny display inside. "This is my answer," I said softly, placing the ring on her finger. Luna curiously pressed the miniature button on the inside of the ring face. The screen lit up and a line of text appeared. "System initialized. Lifelong love program running. Estimated completion time, never." She covered her mouth, tears welling up and spilling over. This was the language unique to us, a love program that would never finish running. Now, the groom may kiss the bride. I gently lifted her veil and leaned down to kiss her lips. Applause thundered, champagne sprayed. In a place where no one could see, Luna secretly hooked her little finger with mine, like our little celebration after every technical hurdle we clear. In a rain-soaked city square, the big screen was live streaming this century wedding. Sophia, wrapped in a thin coat, craned her neck to watch the image of Ethan tenderly placing a ring on the bride's finger. That rain 3 months ago had left her with a fever that wouldn't break. She lay in a hospital for 2 weeks. No flowers, no visitors, only the nurses' sympathetic looks and the steadily mounting medical bills. The friends who once surrounded her had all vanished, including the one she had believed cared for her most. It is reported that the Ethan couple will donate all wedding gifts to a children's medical relief project. The host's voice came from the square speakers. The union of this golden boy and girl of the tech world has been hailed as. Sophia stumbled toward the bench, rain dripping from the ends of her hair. While sick in the hospital, she had a long dream. In it, she also left the engagement celebration. But unlike reality, the Ethan in the dream did not announce the cancellation of the engagement. He explained on her behalf. Later they married and had an adorable daughter. But she did not cherish his efforts and often abandoned him and their daughter because of Dylan's calls. In her previous life, on their daughter's 5th birthday, Dylan had another emergency, and she urged Ethan to drive her there. The car had an accident on the way. A boulder slid down and struck one side of the vehicle, the side where Ethan and their daughter sat. She in the front passenger seat was unharmed, and the first thing she did after escaping was rush to care for Dylan. She summoned a nearby secretary to drive her to the hospital to see Ethan. "Handle this yourself. I called an ambulance. It will arrive soon." After saying that, she left her bleeding husband and crying daughter to go attend to Dylan. By the time she received the hospital call, it was all too late. The dream filled her with unbearable pain and guilt. She finally understood why Ethan would never forgive her. The large screen in the square switched scenes. Now it showed a close-up of Luna speaking at the wedding. She was introducing Stellar Tech's latest medical AI project, a screening system capable of predicting rare pediatric diseases early on. This system will be donated in my husband's and my name to the International Children's Hospital Alliance, Luna said, her voice determined and warm. I hope no child will lose the chance for treatment due to a misdiagnosis. On the screen, Luna turned to Ethan and they smiled at each other. That tacit understanding and deep affection stabbed at Sophia's eyes. She had once possessed that look herself, yet had smashed it to pieces with her own hands. Ethan, I'm sorry. She curled up on the bench and sobbed like a child. But this time, there was no one to gently pat her back and say it's okay. At the wedding banquet, I finally slipped away from the guests offering toasts and went out to the terrace for some air. The city's lights glittered in the night, more beautiful than I remembered at any time. What are you hiding here thinking about? Luna's voice came from behind. She had changed into a red, toasting dress, like a warm flame under the moonlight. I've been thinking how strange fate can be. I took the champagne she handed me. If I hadn't called off that engagement party 2 years ago, Luna leaned against the railing beside me. Then I might never have met you. She paused. Seriously, I've always wondered, you and that Miss Taylor. It's in the past. I cut her off, not wanting the past to taint this beautiful evening. What matters is now. Luna looked at me thoughtfully. You know, my brother once told me life is like writing code. It's not about how many lines you write, but whether you can debug and move forward. She gently took my hand. You're the bravest debugger I've ever met. I smiled and pulled her into my arms. That did sound like something a programmer would say. The night breeze lifted her hair, carrying a faint jasmine scent that made me feel an unprecedented peace. By the way, Luna suddenly remembered something. I'm going to Geneva next week for the Global Medical Technology Summit. I prepared a surprise. Another surprise? I raised an eyebrow. Last time you promised a surprise, it ended up being the public reveal of that Alzheimer's prediction model at the launch. She winked slyly. This one's bigger, about international collaboration and the future of Stellar Tech. She stopped deliberately halfway through. Never mind. No work talk on our wedding night. Music came from the banquet hall. The first dance song we had carefully chosen. Luna took my hand. Mr. Ethan, may I have this dance? I bowed with an exaggerated gentleman's salute. The honor is mine, Mrs. Johnson. We danced embraced, under the witness of starlight and lights. Luna rested on my shoulder, softly humming the tune. In that moment, I felt all the regrets and pains of past lives redeemed. 3 months later, on the top floor of Stellar Tech headquarters, I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the city's countless lights. The office door behind me opened quietly, and Luna came in carrying 2 cups of coffee. Daydreaming again? She put the coffee on the coffee table. The board meeting is about to start. Just got the news, I said. Taylor Group has officially declared bankruptcy and gone into liquidation. Luna was silent for a moment. Are you sad? I shook my head. Just reflective. In my past life, I gave everything up for her and even risked our daughter's life. This time, I finally did not betray myself. The office door was knocked on again, and the assistant's voice came through. Mr. Ethan, Mr. Martinez, the board members are all here. I took one last look at the city outside the window. When I turned around, my eyes had cleared. Let's go. It's time to discuss establishing the European branch. Luna quickened her pace to catch up and naturally adjusted my tie in the elevator. As it descended, she suddenly said, by the way, the preliminary test results for the Geneva project are in. The accuracy is 15% higher than expected. As expected of my wife, I said proudly. Luna laughed and poked my chest. Mr. Ethan, be professional. It's working hours now. Please call me Miss Martinez. The elevator doors opened, and we walked side by side toward the meeting room. our silhouettes merging under the corridor lights. The tragedy of the past life had become history. The story of this life was only just beginning.